Okay, getting a late start, but tonight I'm going to start working on the next board. This is the last of the 3 boards sent to me from a gentleman in Brazil. This is an Atari BreakOut. He's asked me to repair a number of things. I'll have to evaluate what the problems are exactly, but I know one of them's a paddle problem. He also wants me to install one of my difficulty selector boards that adjusts the size of the paddle. So I'll do that as well once I get it finished, completely working. All right, so let me get set up here and I'll do some testing. Okay, so this board came up immediately. Let me try it again. Cycle the power. All right, came straight up into game over mode, so that's a good sign. Let's see if it'll credit. Yes, it will. Okay, so the controls are normal here, but as you get towards the bottom, it speeds up rapidly. Bam, see how I'm barely touching it and it's warping. So that's going to have to be fixed. I don't remember if I pushed 1 or 2 player. Let's see. Okay, ball serve works. I pushed 1 player. Ball hitting of the paddle works. Okay. Audio's working. I think this is set to 3 balls. Yep. Okay, so game over worked. Let's try 2 player. I think this is 2 player start. Let's see. Well, that control is not even usable down in that area. Okay, that's 1 player. So as soon as I put a coin in, it starts single play. I wonder if it has something to do with this. I thought this was. Let's see what we got here. This one is cocktail versus normal, and it's in cocktail mode. This is This is 3 ball versus 5 ball. It's set to 3 ball. This is 1 player or 2 player. Okay, so I need to set that so that we can play 2 player. Let me cycle the power. Okay, let's try that again. Now, as soon as I hit the switch, it started the game. I don't know if that's right or not. I don't remember. Okay, ball sped up. That's correct. All right, so have it on 2 player. Cycle the power again. I think one of these is supposed to be a coin. I don't remember which one. That starts it. So I have 2 switches here. One's. Oh, is there one underneath? No. All right, let me study the schematics and I'll be back. All right, first thing I check is this inverter here. For the coin switches. The coin number 2 switch seems to be working correctly, but number 1 is not. These inverters, one of them is shorted or something. It is not responding. But both coin switches respond. It's weird. You actuate the coin switch and it starts the game. Now, it's not supposed to start the game. It's supposed to add a coin. So let me take this out and do some more probing. Maybe it's good and something else is causing the problem, but you know, because it's loaded. But let me check on it. About to remove this chip, and then I noticed all this garbage that somebody added. It apparently has something to do with paddle 1. This line here goes to paddle 1 pad on the control on the edge connector. So I want to remove all this because I don't think that that's supposed to be there. And they're probably trying to get around a problem with one of the chips or something. So I'm going to remove that and do some testing and see what happens. I'll make a mental note of how this was. It's got 2 diodes, a capacitor, and a resistor. But that's got to go. That's got to come off, I think. Okay, so I've lifted the ends on these diodes and the capacitor, and I removed the resistor. The resistor is bridging a cut out of the trace there, so that's going to have to be replaced. Also, where these two diodes were soldered, there's a break in this as well. So I'm going to need to repair that. There's a break right there. So let me make these 2 trace repairs, and then I'm going to test and see what the paddle does with that garbage off of there. Well, it might not be the prettiest repair, but it seems to be okay. So, whoop, I took a piece of that tape, that's copper tape, and I cut a slight thin piece of it, and it has a adhesive back, so I glued it down, and then I soldered across it to make a good solid connection that won't slip away. So when I ohm out, I'm going to just, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to try to do this with one hand. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but if I ohm out between that point there, that point right there, and the other side, you can see the connections being made. So that connection's good. So let me plug the board back in and see what happens. All right, so removing that garbage is making the paddle not even work at all, which makes no sense. Somebody's replaced this 4016, which is basically a switch, a voltage controlled switch, and I'm wondering if that's not bad. Well, might be involved, let's just say, because here's the schematic, right? We've got 2 potentiometers, one for cocktail mode only and one for normal, for both cocktail and normal, and the signal has to pass through the voltage controlled switch 4016. Now the U pin on the PCB is right there, and that's what that junk that was attached to was also attached to. The diodes and the capacitors and junk and the resistor that was attached to U. I don't know what they were doing. They were bypassing something, so something was broken and they didn't want to replace it, and so they were doing a makeshift repair. I'm just going to probe around and figure out what's wrong. It could be the 555. It could be the 4016. The 4016 is socketed. I'm not sure what this is that they used to socket it, though. It looks almost like a switch or something, switch platform. But I'll check that out. There's, let's see, there's some logic here, but that's about it. There's not much here. So assuming the potentiometer didn't die because of some weird loading from the stuff that was added, I guess I'll start with just the logic chips, make sure they're good, that inverter and that NAND gate. And then I'll double check these. These look like they're working with the scope, but the signal is really strange. I would expect the signal to be just a solid voltage, but it's got a weird, let me see if I can show you. Where's my scope probe? So let's see, pin 11. So that's what's being fed to that chip, and that's what's also being output. And I would have expected that just to be a voltage, not a waveform like that. So maybe I'm wrong. Let me start probing around, see if I can figure this problem out. So the game plan is this. I'm going to pull one leg of this capacitor up. This is supposed to be a 1 microfarad, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to test it because that's part of the functionality for the 555. If it checks out good, then I'm going to pull the 555 out. And I'm also going to remove the garbage that I left underneath, the diodes and junk, because I think it might be shorting. So let me do those things and I'll be back. Okay, so this capacitor checked out. It's got a good 1 microfarad value, so it's good. I replaced this, made no difference. And I replaced this and it made no difference. So I'm going to step away from the paddle problem for now. I want to focus on the coin problem. Something weird is going on with the coin switches. So here are the coin switches. Pin 1 on the inverter at F9 is always shorted to ground, and that's wrong. It's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be shorted when the switch is pressed, but not when it's unpressed. When it's not pressed, it's not supposed to be ground. So that pin, I just guessed at it, and I replaced the inverter, and that didn't fix it. So the only other possibility is this flip-flop. I'm going to try replacing that flip-flop to see if I can resolve the ground. There must be an internal short. And once that's fixed, hopefully that will solve the problem with it not crediting, not counting credits, if you will. It's supposed to, when you push the coin button, it's supposed to add a credit and not start the game. So let me try replacing this and see what happens. Okay, so the problem with the game starting when you put a coin in is because the start switch for player 1 is stuck. It's actually not the switch. This signal is low for some reason. you can force it high and it's not a short, but this pull-up resistor isn't able to pull it up from a low voltage, a low logic level voltage. So I'm going to try replacing this inverter to see if that's the problem, because there's nothing else connected unless there's some sort of blob, solder blob or something causing this. But I need to remove this so I can see what's going on, and that's what I'm going to try. All right, so the inverter here, these two guys, this one in particular was bad though. This one was okay, but it's on the same chip, so they both get replaced, obviously. But this one had a problem. This input was bad, and it was dragging down the signal to a low level. This pull-up resistor was not able to compensate for that. So if you took a wire and you shorted it to 5 volts, you could defeat it, but it really needs to be a pull-up resistor. Obviously, it's always going to be 5 volts. So anyway, yeah, I replaced this, and now you can credit. You can coin up the thing. You can put multiple credits on it, and the game doesn't start now. Now, if I push player 1 button, it'll start a player 1 game. So let me demonstrate that. And the paddle still has a problem. I can't. That's as far to the right as it will go. It'll go all the way to the left, and there's a lot of extra play in it. So I need to figure out what's going on with player 1 paddle. I'll play a 2-player game to demonstrate the other paddle, how it works pretty good. I also I'm not sure where my switch is set to on the paddles. I added a switch to add a ground return on one side of the potentiometer, and I don't know if I have that turned on or not. I need to look and see. I forgot how it was wired. So the game should not require that ground connection. All right, so there's going to be one more ball. I'm going to let it go. So that's game over. So now, if there's enough credits, I can start a 2-player game. Okay, there were enough credits. So let me play this like this. That's as far as that paddle goes. Now, player 2 paddle, you can see it goes the full range. And it's nice and smooth. So let me push the button, start button. So yeah, the player 1 paddle, most of the circuitry is shared. So it can't be too much wrong with it. I suspect somebody, when they added the capacitor and the diodes, something got screwed up when they did that. They were trying to fix a problem, and they probably caused a problem. There might be a short somewhere, but I haven't seen it yet if there is a short. Also, somebody replaced this. I think I'll pull this out and replace this socket. Maybe there's something funky underneath that. Yeah, let me do that next. Let me replace this socket. Okay, everything seems to be working on this except for the player 1 paddle. It's moving fairly smoothly, but it won't go all the way to the right. So that's the last thing I need to fix before I install the paddle size selector board. So not sure what to think of this yet, but everything's working. Audio's working. Gameplay, game over. Ball speed, ball angle. All the gameplay stuff except for the paddle. And I'm stumped at the moment, but I'm not done trying to fix this. This is a player 2. You can see it works perfectly. It goes from both side to side and has nice smooth motion. And what's baffling me is both paddle circuits share the same chips for the most part. I've replaced the 555. I've replaced the 4016. I don't think there's anything else to replace. I mean, the potentiometer, maybe it went bad or something, but I'm going to dig out one of my old boards and make sure it still works. But if it does, then there's got to be a problem with this board. But that's going to be it for tonight. Good progress was made. I will continue on this video. I'm not going to release it just yet. I'll wait until I get this finished, I guess, or when I give up, whichever comes first. But that's it for tonight because it's getting late. Thanks for watching. So I've installed one of my breakout boards into the test fixture, and I'm having the same problem. I'm only able to get the player 1 to go so far, and then it stops. So I'm going to take this controller apart and see about resoldering everything and see if that fixes it. I'm also going to check out the potentiometer. Maybe it got damaged because it was overloaded with that circuitry someone added. So I'll be back with an update, I guess. I don't know what happened to this controller, but I basically removed all the connections inside and redid them, and now it's working. So it must have had either a broke wire near a solder joint or a bad solder joint. I'm not sure. It all looked pretty good, actually. So, all right. So this is the Brazilian board, and this is going to be the final test. If we have any problems, I'll fix it, but I think it's going to be 100%. So I'm gonna do a 1-player first. Actually, it's not going to be a final test because I still need to put the difficulty selector board in. But this is a test just to make sure all the functionality seems correct. So the 1-player paddle works perfectly now. It goes the full distance and is smooth as silk. It doesn't jump around like it did when we first started. Remember when we first started, you get down to this lower point and you barely moved and it would jump all the way. All right, ball 2 for player 1 for a 1-player game. Okay, I missed out on the last ball. Okay, why is that score flashing like that? Okay, that's going to be a problem. Now it's flashing faster. I don't know what that is. Was that problem there before? All right, let's try a 2-player game. See what the score does there. All right, player 1. Paddle works good. Audio is working. Now see the score is blinking fine there. Now it's blinking faster. Why? I have never seen that, or I didn't notice that before. It's not supposed to flash that fast, I don't think. So I think we got a problem. All right, player 2. Player 2 still working real well. All right, I think the score flashing at that speed is actually correct. It's just kind of disturbing. All of the score sounding, including the multiple points scored, is working, and the fast ball is working. Oh, all right, second ball. Score flashing looks okay there, but previously it looked weird. I don't know if there's a problem. I guess it's okay. Oh. Ah. All right, last ball for player 1. Fastball. Ah, well, I see the screen is not quite right. Let me scroll it, move it over to the, there. All right, last ball. Ah, okay, that looked good. So next I'm going to install the little board, and then we'll do a test game to make sure that that's working. Okay, I got the new skill selector paddle size adjuster PCB installed. It's actually called a Paddle Master. That's the official name, if you need an official name. Board came up. Let's see how it works. Start the game on one player. Okay, so that's the medium setting there. I need to get the controller for player 1. So that's medium. Let's go with that's messed up. That's with no selection, by the way. So you need to make a selection to be a valid game. So there's large. There's the large paddle. And if you want normal game, slide switch number 1. That's the regular game. Switch number 2 is what I'm going to set it to, and ship it that way, and he can adjust it the way he wants. That's the medium game. All right, so let's see if it's going to play. It looks good. And that reminds me, there is one other thing we need to test, and that's the free game. If you, I don't even know what the setting is. Looks like it's turned off, so I don't think there's a free game possible. But I want to test that, and I'll test that in the next game. All right, last ball. You'll notice when it hits the top of the back, or the back wall, top wall, that the paddle goes in half size, and so in this case it goes to the regular starting size. Oh, okay. So I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to see if we can get a free game at 100 points. I'm guessing here what the setting is. I think it's that. So let me see if 100 points gives us free game. All right, here we go. Ah. Okay, that noise was the free game, so that circuit worked. I'll reset the dip switch settings back to whatever they were, all off or all on, which means it's either a very high replay score or it's turned off. I forget. All right, last ball. Okay, I think this board's 100%, and the game paddle master selector thingy seems to be working just fine. So I will burn this in for a couple hours, and if it doesn't die, then I'll be done with it. And I think that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.